31st, 2025, South Carolina Department of Transportation Commission meeting to order. Please remember to silence your cell phones at this time if you already have not done so. And now I'll call roll. Pamela Christopher, here. Tony Cox. Here. Bill Dukes. Here. Barnwell Fishburne. Here. TJ Johnson. Here. Max Metcalf. Here. Curtis Spencer. Here. A quorum is declared. The agenda. Is there a motion to approve the January 31st, 2025 meeting agenda? Is there a second? Thank you. Those in favor say aye. Aye. As opposed, say nay. Hearing no opposition, the agenda is approved. If you will all join me in standing as Commissioner Cox opens up our meeting in prayer, followed by Commissioner Fishburne leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning. Would you bow with me, please? Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for the opportunity to be here to serve our state, the citizens of our state. Please be with us this morning and guide us on the decisions that will be made here that will affect our public. Also, we would ask that you lay your healing hand on the souls up in Washington that perished in the plane crash. Be with our men and women all over the globe that are protecting us this morning. And please bless us so we may in turn be a blessing to others. In Jesus' name, amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now we come to our approval of minutes. Item 6, does anyone have any questions about or revisions to the minutes from the December 5th, 2024 commission meeting? Is there a motion to approve the December 5th, 2024 commission meeting minutes and actions?
Move.
Thank you. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, the minutes from the December 5th, 2024 commission meeting are approved. We will now have the report out from the December 5th, 2024 Audit Committee meeting. I'll call on Committee Chairman Fishburne.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. The Audit Committee met on December the 5th, 2024. Mr. Tim Lyons with Malden and Jenkins presented the SCDOT financial audit. The review deemed a clean opinion on compliance for each major program. This is the 7th continuous year that SCDOT has received a clean opinion with no weaknesses or findings. Internal Audit Service staff presented the IAS scorecard, global audit standards, engagement updates, management action plans, and direct pay activity. No committee actions were taken. That concludes my report, ma'am.
Thank you, Chairman Fishburne. Approval of December 5th, 2024 committee minutes. Does anyone have any questions or revisions to the minutes from the December 5th, 2024 commission meeting?
Motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, the minutes from the December 5th, 2024 Audit Committee meeting are approved. Mr. Secretary, do we have any public comments? Anybody scheduled for public comments today?
We haven't had anybody sign up for public comment yet.
Thank you.
I did.
Oh, there you go.
Sorry, I was late.
Oh, I'm sorry. We do have someone. If you please come forward, you can speak into the mic, and you will be timed. You'll have 3 minutes. Thank you.
Yes, my name is Erin Wessinger, and I'm with Arbetis Construction. I've had a complaint issue about misappropriation of funds by the SCDOT Maintenance Department. I have started that complaint in September of 2024. I have had a meeting with Ms. Barbara Wessinger and provided her lots of facts, and that was probably 35 days ago. And I have since to have a reply or a resolution to the complaint I made of SCDOT Maintenance Department spending over $200,000 more to an out-of-state contractor that can do the same work we can, which is brush management. I have provided Ms. Wessinger lots of facts and lots of emails where I was specifically told that they didn't have any money for brush management, or either they were going to let the lawn maintenance cover another pass, but then not 30 days later, a brush management PO was issued to Ace Clearing and Construction at $300 an acre when it could have been issued to us at $272 an acre. There has been no findings that we've had any fault with the work we completed for Richland County or Clarendon County or Greenville County or Lawrence County or Spartanburg County. So there's been no fault found with our service and the service we provided at the lower rate. And my question is, why would the state of South Carolina pay someone over $200,000, use my tax money, their tax money, and your tax money to pay someone that much more money when they could have gotten the same service from a local company at less money? And I've still received an answer. And I would like the commission to discuss that, and I would like to be followed up with. I think we deserve some type of compensation and some type of explanation, and know that there's being a change made in the department so this doesn't happen again.
Ma'am, I appreciate you coming before us, and I do know that it's an active review currently, and we'll take it under advisement and be back in touch with you about it.
Thank you. That's all I asked for.
Yes, sir.
It's R, like the letter R, Bettis, Bettis, Construction. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Pursuant to Section 301 of the Commission bylaws, we will hold our annual officer election today. Section 301 directs that the elections of commission officers are to be held at the first meeting of the calendar year, and the new officers shall assume their duties upon the adjournment of this meeting. As you are aware, the chairman will preside over the meetings of the commission, and the vice chairman shall preside over the meetings of the commission in the absence of the chairman. Item 8.1, election of chairman. The floor is now open for nominations for chairman.
Madam Chairman, it would be my honor to nominate a very distinguished gentleman here, Mr. T.J. Johnson, to be the chairman for next year.
Thank you, sir. A second is not necessary. Commissioner Johnson is nominated. Are there any other nominations? There's only one nominee, and unless there is an objection, I declare that Commissioner Johnson be elected by acclamation. Hearing no objection, Commissioner Johnson is elected chairman for 2025 by acclamation.
Congratulations.
You say 25 years?
No, we did not say 24 years. And now, for the vice chairman, the floor is now open for nominations for vice chairman.
For the office of vice chairman.
Thank you, sir. A second is not necessary. Commissioner Dukes is nominated. Are there any other nominations? There is only one nominee, and unless there is an objection, I declare that Commissioner Dukes be elected by acclamation. Hearing no objection, Commissioner Dukes is elected vice chairman for 2025 by acclamation. Thank you, Mr. Dukes.
Yeah.
Now we'll go into item 9.1, Secretary of Transportation report. Secretary Powell will now present on that, and then he will call on Director Ted Creech for reporting out on our legislative report. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the commission. First of all, I want to thank Chair Christopher, Vice Chair Metcalf for your leadership and guidance and support during my first year as secretary. It was greatly appreciated, and I thank you all for stepping up into those officer roles and being with us on this journey. Commissioner Johnson, Commissioner Dukes, look forward to continuing to do great things with y'all, and look forward to, on behalf of the staff, continuing to work with y'all on moving South Carolina forward. I do want to make a few recognitions before I get into my report. First of all, as always, we have our lead class, our promising 25 leaders in the organization who are taking an opportunity to grow themselves and to develop. So I wanted to recognize two faces you will notice and know from prior meetings. First is Cody Crouch. from the Public Engagement Office. You all know him from all your photographs, as well as Zach Fulmer from IT Services, who y'all remember running the stream from there. But several other folks you may know, Brian Dix from RPG2, Lyle Lee from our Planning Division, Gene Taylor from our Traffic Engineering Division, Ann Burnett from our Human Resources Office, and Rose Martinez Vasquez from our Professional Services Office. So please welcome them to the commission and as they go through their leadership journey. One other introduction I do want to make here. We have, and I'll ask him to stand up, Ellison Scott, who is the son of Kit Scott, who runs our Low Country Corridor program. He is shadowing his mother today and is interested in becoming a civil engineer, just like his mother and his grandfather, who work for one of our large contractors in the state. So please welcome him to the meeting.
Recruiting them young, I love it.
Thank you.
Start early. All right, well, let's start off with our normal traffic safety statistics. And I think a good news story, but still shows that we have much more work to continue to do. These numbers are not final. There'll be a little bit of time before the Highway Patrol and the Department of Public Safety kind of finalize these numbers, but I think we can say that we had another year of a decline in our number of raw traffic deaths that occurred at 981 this year. That puts us in numbers we haven't seen since 2015, 2016, 2017. But know that this is not the final number, but I think showing that the fruits of the work of us working to engineer safety into our roadways, and as well as the work of our partners at the Department of Public Safety and in law enforcement to enforce traffic laws. We've seen good news come out of that as well. On our bike and pedestrian statistics, again, still to be finalized, but we saw a very sizable decrease in the number of pedestrian fatalities that we have had this year. Again, putting numbers we have not seen in 7, 8, 9 years. One thing that is a little concerning to me, and we'll continue to work with our vulnerable road user and our complete streets policy, is that we saw an increase in the number of bicycle fatalities that occurred this year, up to 32 from 26 last year. But on balance, an improvement of where we are on traffic safety. Again, an area that we have to continue to work on, continue to focus first and foremost in our activities. And again, one is too many, and so we will keep working on ways we can bring these numbers down.
Justin, what were the mopeds by comparison the last couple of years?
It's been about the same. It's usually runs, I think, Rob, 14, 15, 16 or so per year.
They're down this year in 2023 from the year before, 70%.
It looks,
That's a small number.
yeah, it looks like it was lower, but in my area, there are plenty of them.
Are the bicycle fatalities spread through the state, or are we able to concentrate on where those accidents, both non-fatal and fatal, are occurring to address safety?
As you'd expect, a lot of the bike ped fatal and serious injuries are in urban areas where you have a larger ability for there to be contacts with motorists. So a lot of our urban areas are where we see them. That's why when you approve a new bike ped list, like we take every 2 or 3 years, we usually see them in places like Charleston, Columbia, Greenville.
Moving on to our construction program, again, another month of us approaching record levels of construction across the state. As of the results of the most recent lettings, we are now up to $6.5 billion in active construction contracts. That was up from $6.3 billion last time we met in December. And I would expect by the time next time we meet, we either in the March meeting or the May meeting, we will have topped $7 billion in active construction contracts across the state. So a continued recognition of that we are not only with the dollars that have been entrusted us, we are actively moving ahead and getting projects into construction. And you can see that with the curve there.
Justin, when we started with Act 40, what was it, about $1.5 billion?
Back in 2017, it was about 2.2 2.5 billion, give or
$2.5
take.
billion.
Kind of looking at where we have put those dollars again, aligned with the commission's priorities, about $2 billion in interstate widening, $2.4 billion in pavements, and then bridges, regional mobility, and safety. I would say since the last meeting, we've seen a good growth in the number of bridge projects that have been put out, so there was an increase from last month on that. We have a fairly significant bridge pipeline coming in the next few months, so I think, one, again, kind of consuming the dollars that the General Assembly gave us, the $200 million that we had received. We're going to be putting out a lot more bridge projects in the coming months, so I think that you will see that number grow, as well as the interstate widening number when we award the I-95 project later this year.
So I have a question.
Yes, sir.
As regards to pavement, so that's what the DOT is doing, or what about the counties and the COGS and all those, whenever you put it all together?
So the pavement number is the DOT contract, so the pavement program we bring to y'all in May every year
Right.
is basically that number. For projects like CTC projects that we are administering on behalf of a local government, you'll see that in that last column there, CTC and other projects administered by SCDOT. Actually, I'll pop back there, sorry.
okay.
You can see that in that last column.
So you can add that number?
You can, and that includes more than just CTC paving projects. That can include sales tax projects. I think we've always challenged to kind of identify, because we don't run it through our letting system, what work county sales tax programs are doing on pavements, as well as a number of CTCs. Greenville County is a good example, basically outsources. They manage all their projects internally, and so they don't show up on our books, they're showing up on the
So there's
counties.
more pavement
There's
going
more,
on then?
I would say there's more pavement than that going on in the state.
Thank you.
In terms of our on-time, on-budget for the construction program, our on-time rates are basically about the same as they were last month. The on-budget number, and that reflects when we go take a project from original bid to completion, actually this month, actually coming in lower in terms of the closeout value that we had, but we've been very much maintaining in the past several months under or within the contingency values that we assign to one of our projects. In terms of change orders, we've had a number here. I'll kind of highlight a few as we go through, and then Deputy Secretary Perry and I can fill in if there's any particular questions here. On the first one here is the US 17A safety improvements in Dorchester County. Now, when we do a rural road safety project, one of the elements that we often do is widen the shoulders that are along the road so that the drivers have an ability to compensate and adjust back on the road if they get out of their lane. Oftentimes that means additional excavation and burrow that's needed to be done on the project, and that's essentially what has happened on that contract. And so field conditions kind of necessitated that. Any other questions on these particular change orders before I move to the next?
I've got a question about that one, Justin. And Rob, you may want to cue in on this. That project 17A is a heck of a project, and over the last year, I go through there a good bit, and we've had a number of 7-inch rains that have taken the sand off. Now, that's a bid build project, is it not?
Yes, sir, it is. It's a large one. This $16 million is a pretty good sized chunk for a rural road safety project. Usually we're $10 million or less. But yeah, I believe Banks has it, and it is a big one.
And it looks like it's about a quarter of the way through, and they've run into a lot of problems. I would expect some more change orders unless I'm missing something, because it's a pretty treacherous road. Being a bid build project, we came up with the amounts of dirt required, so it's on us if that rain washes it away. If it were a design build project and they ran into these problems, I guess it's subjective where we pay for some of it and they pay for some of it. Is that correct?
That is correct, sir, because we've got some requests for consideration on some design build projects where it's pretty clear that the excavation is fully on the contractor.
Right.
Whereas on these, if you have bar excavation and we underran our quantities or in the plans, which is what we did on this one. So there will be some more for bar excavation because we undershot on that one. We also are giving some time to the contractor for Hurricane Helene cleanup. That was around 30 days. So this one slid from a November completion date of this year to probably more like a May or June of 2025 when it's all said and done. But it's gonna be a good, safe roadway when we're finished.
Mr. Secretary, when we're looking at these things, and I'm not talking about repairs on change orders, but something like this, can we designate whether it's bid build or design build?
We can add that to that as well. And again, I think to Deputy Secretary Perry's point, when we go in with a bid build, we come in with very defined quantities, very defined expectations, and then I think if the variance comes in, that often is, they're relying upon our plans. Design build, and it can, as Deputy Secretary Perry kind of pointed out, design build, it depends on how you put into the original procurement document who has the risk on things. And so if we say, hey, we've tested rock in an area within a radius of 25 feet of where areas, then they've kind of taken on that risk to say where that rock is, whereas on a bid build, we're pretty much saying you should or shouldn't expect rock or certain soil conditions in an area.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Secretary, the Walker Mall project in Georgetown County, I'm surprised that the amount of that overreach is so minimal. That's been a massive project.
It's a large project. Obviously, it's a $50 million one. I would consider it an expedited repair because of the condition of the piers underneath there. And there were some change orders last meeting that we put on that one. I'll let Rob, or Deputy Secretary, anything in specifics on related to this particular change order you want to share?
No, what took place on this one was we had a set of plans and then shop drawings, and when they fabricated some of the steel and they put it out there, the steel didn't line up with what the plans showed for the connections. So that's when the contractor came back to us and said, hey.
Talking about 75-year-old plans?
No. The repair plans our engineer record produced. And so that's where we had to work out with the contractor how to, again, make the steel that had been fabricated work to put it in again. Take the load off the existing piers that have some scour issues because we're transferring them to a new pier at 4 of the bents. So you're right, this is a big project and we're looking forward to getting it over with and moving on.
Good job on that one.
Moving on to the next one, again, another set of change orders where we've had basically changing field conditions. One I'll probably point your eye on is the large one in Orangeburg County. Basically, the original plan was to patch and resurface it. Ultimately, because of the deterioration of the roadway between basically its selection as a project and the ultimate award, it was converted into a full-depth reclamation project, which are usually the ones when we're in the worst conditions. So that reflects that. Any particular questions on these other change orders here?
Well, I'm not going to let I-95 pass, so let me ask a question. Now, Chairman Johnson was the latest victim to run up on the Georgia-South Carolina border this past week, I think. He said he got stuck in there for about 45 minutes. Just give me an update on that, Rob, if you would.
Sure. Thank you, Commissioner Fishburne, and I apologize if you got stuck on that, Chairman. So I-95, we've got a lot of work going on. As Secretary Powell mentioned, we're going to receive bids for the widening from the Georgia state line up to 8 in the next few weeks. I-95 from mile marker 33 to 68 is one where we're fixing the concrete panels and then we're going to cap it with asphalt and correct cross slope. That completion date has not changed. It's still April of 2026. I-95 and I-26, the system-to-system interchange, you're going to start seeing dirt moving. That's under design build contract. That date has not changed. Its completion date is August of 2027. But the farther northern section from, say, St. George up, I-95 mile marker 68 to 84, we had to add some additional concrete patching work to that. But it was on the lower section, that 0 to 4 section by the Georgia line. So So that is going to be delayed a little further. It was a November 2024 completion date. Now it's a November 2025 completion date. Now it's February of 26. And again, that's because as we're getting into this and we see more of these concrete panels fail, we're having to add these to the contract because there's no point putting asphalt over it if it's bad under. So we've got to get the concrete patched and then cap it with the asphalt.
So the groundbreaking for the widening it at the Georgia line is estimated when?
I would think early summer,
Yeah, well,
late spring, early summer.
in early summer, we're, to Deputy Secretary Perry's point, we are in an active bidding and letting right now on that project, so I would expect that we will be awarding that contract once those are opened up in late winter, early spring, and then once we get through bids, insurance, all of those type of things, we'll be celebrating groundbreaking late spring, early summer.
Next spring?
This year.
This year?
This year.
This year?
This year.
25.
25.
You got your shovel ready?
Yes, I do.
Make sure you're number one on the invitation list, sir.
Thank you.
All right, moving on here, these are more related to utility issues that have cropped up, and obviously that's always a constant challenge on one of our projects. The one I'll probably point your eye to is on the design build Carolina Crossroads Phase 2 project. There have been kind of ongoing challenges that we've had on that project in terms of locating and relocating the city of Columbia's water lines there. One of the things I would say kind of coming out of that process, and I would say this project in particular drove it, and Director of Alternative Delivery, Chris Gaskins, has been working closely with the city of Columbia basically to get us a liaison because we have so many large-scale projects happening affecting their water system that we can kind of work together. So instead of one person managing 200 projects, making sure that we have some focus and emphasis on the DOT projects because of Carolina Crossroads and all the other major projects happening in this area. And as we go forward, it might be a model we look and duplicate elsewhere.
Mr. Secretary,
Yes, sir.
on that project, is the city relocating the utilities, or are we actually doing it?
So on this one, I believe it's in contract on this one, correct?
Yes, sir. It's in contract, and really that's one of the things with the water bill that we really want to try and strengthen is going in contract where we actually have control of our destiny. It's been hit and miss. Some of them will go in contract, some won't. But for this change order, once we started digging around, we thought we were going to have to relocate some of the water lines and repair them. And once we uncovered them, they were in much worse shape than what we could imagine. We lost water, or the city lost water, I should say, to some major areas once the water lines essentially crumbled once we uncovered them. So at that point, we had to really get together and figure out how we could get the water lines repaired and moved out of our way so our contractor wasn't sitting on his hands and her hands waiting to do work, because that's a cost to us.
I got a question.
Yes, sir.
So as regards the liaison with the city, I recall us talking about that several months ago as it affected Hardscrabble Road. And again, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but DOT gets all the complaints, as an example, on Hardscrabble Road. And it's my understanding from conversation that there were a lot of issues associated with that, and most of them were infrastructure issues that we had no control over. And we talked about a liaison with Columbia back then, or during that period of time, and I'm really confused or don't understand why we don't have, what is the city not doing, or why are they not reacting to this concern in a more, expeditious manner?
So Hardscrabble Road, City of Columbia was one of the utilities we had challenge relocating. It wasn't the only one. We had
Right.
natural gas and telecom out there
understand.
that added to the challenge. And that's and we've started dialogue and building relationships with telecoms, with Dominion, with Duke, to just try to facilitate and deconflict those issues across the board. So no, I think what I would say is, obviously, once Hardscrabble Road or Carolina Crossroads is going, it's, at that point, it's hard to unring the bell once you're into construction. So as we look at going forward and making sure that our projects are going forward, but basically, the city had a person and staff that kind of deals with all the developers, all the other folks that are doing, affecting their utility system. And so we were one of 200 in a stack working on our issues. So what we tried to do was copy something that we do well with our Environmental Services Office, where we will pay for liaisons at the Army Corps, the Department of Environmental Services, where they can, just don't change where they make their regulatory rulings, but at least make sure that we kind of have focus and dedication on our projects. So I think the city's been receptive to that, and we're finalizing the agreements now on it, so we can kind of, I think, move forward constructively, particularly as we get into phase 3 of Carolina Crossroads. That is a much bigger water line, much bigger utility challenges on that project. So I think that positions us well to avoid challenges like this one or Hardscrabble Road on what will be at that time the largest project in the state's active
So
history.
I still have an issue with, and we have to pay for this liaison?
It is, but I think, it will not be a high expense.
The reason I mention that is that I recall back when we were doing Gervais Street, and, I was actively involved in that. And Steve, was the city manager, and he immediately hired, a person, and his total focus was on the Convention Center, Lincoln Street, Gervais Street. And that was nowhere near, the expense that we're, putting in here. So isn't it in the best interest of the city to recognize that they should have someone?
I think they've acknowledged that, and they're working with us very.
I'm not
constructively.
criticizing here.
No, and I
we
think
need to rattle
I think
some.
whatever we spend a little bit up front will pay dividends on avoiding things in the
Okay.
future.
So it's really our call.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I think it helps.
So
us.
you're going to hire a liaison?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. And then our last set of change orders, kind of the other change orders that we've had. Two here, I'll point out. One, we had a bridge replacement project, and we got wind that there was going to be a very large concert held in Fairfield County at Carolina Adventure World. We expedited that because it was really the only one of two ways in and out. That concert ultimately got canceled by Hurricane Helene, but we got the project done ahead of schedule. The other one is kind of going into the next slides here. We had a tremendous amount of guardrail damage during Hurricane Helene, trees just kind of crushing it. These change orders are basically the change order below, and you will likely see more of these change orders into the future, are the repairs that we are doing to our existing guardrail contract to get those repairs made across the state. In terms of emergency procurements here, we have several slides. What I will do is just summarize a little bit of where we are in Helene, answer any particular questions that we have on these specific ones. But we are now kind of where we are on Helene is that we had identified 96 sites that required contract repairs that were beyond the capacity of maintenance forces, or allowed our maintenance forces to focus on what's most important to them. So we have gotten 68 of those completed. So we are moving along and checking off and completing those. I've been very happy and supportive of the response from our contracting community. And I would say contractors who we haven't seen in South Carolina have crossed the border and are doing work for us. So very appreciative of the contracting community's response on that. And I think another thing, and Ted will, Director Creech will talk about this in his presentation, Governor McMaster put a specific carve-out to us in the state budget of $50 million to cover those parts that FEMA or the Federal Highway Administration do not cover. They usually go in a 80-20 or 75-25 ratio to help patch up our budget and to move us forward as we get the state reopened quickly. Yes, sir.
Is your pool of contractors, is it sufficient? We have plenty?
So we have had very good response. We do it on an emergency manner, which runs on an expedited basis and kind of smaller. We kind of put a small group of contractors and say, hey, 3 of y'all bid on this and respond to it. What I've been incredibly happy and pleased with has been our contractor community has responded and has done the work, particularly with what's going on in North Carolina with just the sheer devastation on that. Our contracting community has made sure that they're taking care of their home state and other folks from North Carolina, Tennessee coming in and working in South Carolina as well. The other set of repairs, and you will see us, this will be coming up. If y'all recall, there was a fairly substantial and fairly unpredicted rain event that occurred in Orangeburg and Calhoun counties back in November. That the forecast, I think, was topping out at about 6 inches of rain. It ended up being 13 inches of rain in several locations. So we had a number of pipe failures, bridge washouts that have occurred, as well as dam failures that have affected the system. There were 14 sites that we've asked the contracting community to do. 6 of them are already under contract. 4 of those have been completed. There is a package of bridge replacements that is going out to the industry next week. So we should be getting most of those under contract by the next time we meet. And we can do that. The biggest challenge on the remaining set of repairs that we have are on dams that are privately owned dams that the roadway is on top of, and we're working with the dam owners and the Department of Environmental Services to get those issues resolved. Going into our 10-year plan, our scorecard continues to show that we are at or exceeding the targets that we set out back in 2017 and made adjustments to. I'll walk through each one of those individually. Since last meeting, we've gotten another 10 miles of rural road safety work under contract at 1,126 miles. Still working well on our 1,300 miles that are target by 2027 to have under contract. Y'all recall when we were in Anderson, y'all approved updates to the safety list as well as programming the $97 million or so that the General Assembly provided us for road safety. We've gotten nearly $66 million of that already programmed and underway, so we are putting those dollars to work very quickly. Similarly with bridges, we have continued to do that. We have 91 active construction projects, either between repairs or major rehabilitations. Kind of recognizing same thing in the 4 months since the Comptroller General gave us access to the money, the $200 million the General Assembly has given us. We've gotten $67 million worth of projects, and I anticipate we will have obligated all of those dollars by the end of the state fiscal year with the pipeline that we have built and developed. If y'all heard during the governor's State of the State, he has recommended $100 million for bridges. I will continue to ask for $200 million, and I did that earlier this week at the House Ways and Means Committee. But I think we are demonstrating that if you give us those dollars, we put them to work quickly. Our interstate modernization map actually shows some changes in the colors here. In Commissioner Dukes' district, we had opening of the lanes on I-20 for the 1 mile there that Georgia DOT has been doing as part of their bridge replacement there. And then right before Christmas, we opened all of the lanes on I-26 between Little Mountain and Irmo, 6 or 8 lanes opening there. And then you will see by the next time we meet, we will be hopefully moving a segment of I-95, Commissioner Fishburne, to orange as well. So continued work there as well. Our new gas tax trust fund, just in terms of kind of the dollars we've received as a result of the 2017 roads bill, we've received $4.6 billion, of which $4.4 billion has been available to road projects. We certainly have committed. We have strategically programmed above that amount so that we can make sure we put every single dollar to work with $4 billion of it being focused on pavement projects and the investment that you've seen in the prior slides where we're putting those dollars to work. And then second to last year, as required under law, here are the surplus properties that the department relinquished. Most of them were related to gratis donations to local governments generally who are taking over state roadways. And then last, I think some major accomplishments that we've had in the past month, and these slides were prepared before Winter Storm Enzo came out, so I want to talk a minute about that, but Adopt a Family, and thanks to your support as well as employee support, we were able to provide support to 34 DOT families, provided over 608 presents and $6,500 to those families. We talked about Midlands Connection Project now open to traffic. And then I just want to spend a moment just talking about the pride and how impressed I was by the team at DOT for not only Winter Storm Cora a few weeks ago that hit the upstate, but also the response that happened on Winter Storm Enzo that happened last week, ultimately why we're meeting on a Friday. But I think it was a full team effort. I think we did a tremendous job not only getting the roads pre-treated ahead of the storm, I think bought us a lot of time and helped us recover faster, but just how quickly our team came in and reopening roadways in Charleston and roadways on our bridges there that had 4 inches of ice on them, getting them reopened, but also the partnership we have with our local government partners. So Charleston County, Beaufort County, many of these local governments were standing side by side with us through that. So I appreciate the hard work by our engineering division, our finance division, our planning division, our intermodal division, all coming together to get this happen. So under leadership of Deputy Secretary Perry and Chief Lee Park.
If I may, Secretary Powell, I know commissioners have all spoken. We really appreciated the hard work we've had from our SCDOT workers and the collaboration we received throughout the county with our workers, whether it be electrical workers and also from the counties and cities that have helped. But we always continue to stand amazed at SCDOT and everything you're doing. So I know you guys will join me in congratulating them.
I'm going to turn over the podium over to Director of State Government Affairs, Ted Creech. And then if there's any further questions, I'll be available for the commission.
You have a written legislative report in your package, so some quick highlights here. The legislature began its first year of a 2-year session, January 14th. The House and Senate have already begun work on some big issues remaining from last year's session, such as energy and school voucher legislation. Fiscal year 25-26 state budget preparations are underway in the House. As Secretary mentioned, Ways and Means Transportation Subcommittee held its hearing on SCDOT's budget request this Tuesday. Our requests were well received, and the hearing features some good discussion and exchange with subcommittee members on things like congestion and electric vehicles, but very, very positive. The governor announced his executive budget earlier this month. He's recommending to the legislature more state income tax cuts, teacher pay raises, and disaster relief and critical infrastructure funding, among many other things. Of course, as you've heard, the governor is recommending to the legislature $100 million in non-recurring additional funding for bridges. We're requesting $200 million recurring. $50 million non-recurring for unreimbursable costs associated with Helene recovery, an amount we recommended. $2 million non-recurring for off-interstate litter pickup. We're requesting $5 million recurring, and $2 million non-recurring for a feasibility study that the governor recommended of the Exit 90 interchange on I-77 near Rock Hill. The governor also recommended that $5.1 million go from the general fund to the Parks, Recreation, and Tourism Department for its Welcome Center operations. SCDOT currently transfers those monies to PRT each year from our funds. With this direct PRT appropriation, the SCDOT transfers would no longer be necessary. Also, legislators have filed almost 1,000 bills already, by my count, among more than 110 bills that we are watching. SCDOT has a procurement bill that's been introduced in the House that would enable us to build mass transit facilities and rest areas in our rights-of-way, access more federal funding for transportation planning, and further streamline our procurement. And then another bill says that SCDOT may use phase design build procurement as an optional method for project delivery. And then SCDOT also is requesting minor changes to 2 of our regulations to conform certain signage programs to regs, to the federal requirements. So that concludes my report, pending any questions.
Thank you. Are there any further questions from Secretary Powell or to Secretary Powell or Director Creech? Thank you for your update, sir. Appreciate it. Item 10.1, 21-day public comment period. Deputy Secretary Quattlebaum will present on this item.
Good morning.
Morning.
We are requesting approval to initiate a 21-day public comment period and to amend the 2024 to 2033 statewide transportation improvement program to include $3.685 million in PE right-of-way and construction for the replacement of the Riles Road Bridge over a branch of the Catawba River in York County. This bridge is closed and will be funded with federal funding from the Off-System Bridge Program.
Does anyone have any questions about or revisions to item 10.1? Is there a motion for approval of item 10.1 for the 21-day public comment period? Second. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Aye. Hearing no opposition, the 10.1 21-day public comment period is approved. Thank you. And Ms. Quattlebaum, you'll stay there with us, Secretary Quattlebaum, for the 2024 through 2033 STIP.
We are requesting approval for the revision of the STIP to include 3 items consisting of 6 different projects that are in the SUATS MPO region, totaling $11.586 million in regional mobility program funding. The items include $1.875 million in PE right-of-way and construction for an intersection improvement at Broad Street and Mason Road. Second item includes $2.94 million in PE right-of-way and construction for 3 enhancement projects. Those enhancement projects include a sidewalk on Lafayette Drive that'll extend from Crosswell Drive Park to the Sumter Police Department. It includes a feasibility study to identify the location for the Palmetto Park Greenway connector that will extend from Miller Road to Palmetto Park. And then the third one is the Turkey Creek Greenway that will extend from Crosswell Drive Park to Hauser Street. And then the third item is $6.771 million for PE right-of-way and construction for 2 corridor improvement projects. Those include North-South Harvin Street. It's a complete street project that will extend from East Calhoun Street to the railroad. And the second one is Broad Street corridor improvements that will extend from Miller Road to Warren Street. I'd be happy to take any questions.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions about or revisions to item 10.2? Is there a motion for approval of item 10.2, revisions of the 2024 through 2033 STIP?
So moved.
Second, thank you. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, 10.2, revision of the 2024 through 2033 STIP is approved. Thank you. Item 10.3, changes to the state highway system. I'll call on Deputy Secretary McCoughtry to present.
Good morning. Item 10.3, changes to the state highway system. We request commission approval of the additions, deletions, and revisions to the state highway system and the authority to convey right-of-way to appropriate entities. This request includes one segment of the primary road system, resulting in an addition of 0.482 centerline miles, equating to 0.964 lane miles, and includes 16 segments of the secondary system, resulting in an addition of 0.894 centerline miles, equating to 1.788 lane miles. That concludes.
Thank you, sir. Does anyone have any questions about or revisions to item 10.3? Is there a motion for approval of item 10.3, changes to the statewide highway system?
So move.
Second? Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, 10.3, changes to the statewide highway system is approved. Thank you, Deputy McCoshry. Now we have ratifications of extensions. That's our last item of new business, and I call on Deputy Secretary for Engineering, Rob Perry, to present on this item.
Thank you, Chairwoman Christopher, Commission, Secretary Powell. So for this meeting, for this agenda, we have 5 total extensions totaling $2.1 million. 2 are from November 12th, 3 are from December 18th. There are 2 bridges, so they were emergency structural repairs for those bridges. 2 were full depth patches, and the last was milled in rumble strips. It looks kind of strange, but what we did is we deleted part of a contract and then added centerline rumble strips, so that still was an increase of $24,000 to add those centerline rumble strips, which are very good safety features. We look forward to, again, try and mitigate road departure, and which is one of the big emphasis areas in our safety program. So, being any questions, I respectfully request consideration for ratification.
Thank you, Deputy Perry. Does anyone have any questions about or revisions to item 10.4, ratifications of extensions? Is there a motion to approve item 10.4, ratification of extensions? Is there a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, item 10.4, ratification of extensions is approved. Mr. Secretary, is there any old business we need to take up?
We have no old business.
Thank you, sir. Now it's time for our commissioner comments. I call on my fellow commissioners for comments. We'll start with Commissioner Cox, please.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This will likely be my last meeting. I may have one more, depending on how our replacement gets through the system down the street. I just want y'all to know I've truly enjoyed serving with y'all. I'm going to miss y'all. I'm going to miss this building and all the people that work in it and the good that we do. And I think when you get up here and get involved in it over 8 years and you see what goes on, it takes you about 4 to 5 years to learn the acronyms. So after your first term, you're just getting in stride. But I'm gonna miss coming up here. It's been a highlight of my life, and y'all made it. Serving with y'all has made it special. Got a fantastic staff. Justin's doing a great job, and I know that we're leaving it in very capable hands. So thank y'all for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Fishburne.
Before I get, there are a few people I want to say a few things about, and I want to start out before we get to my esteemed colleagues. I want to say that I'm going to miss George Kennedy, who recently resigned. George led with, he was very stoic, very calm, but he carried a big stick, and watching him, I would call him, and he would have a grasp on whether it was operational risk or managerial risk or strategic risk. He helped me guide some of the audit committee, and he will be truly missed. And I look forward to seeing who'll take his place and help Mark and IAS along, but I will miss him. Mr. Cox, oh my God, Mr. Cox came on here about when I did. He came here 8 years ago. I came here 7 years ago, and he has become a great friend. I call him up on a number of occasions. We sit on bank boards. We discuss banking business. We discuss DOT business, and his clarity of thought is well received. He's a sharp character. And only thing more sharp than that is his pride for the independent republic of Horry County and I-73. And I wish you well on I-73, Tony.
Didn't get it.
I really do. I'll certainly miss your pride in DOT and your sense of humor. And I'm sure you and I'll be calling over the years and stay friends.
I sure hope
Stay close friends. That's a good bottle of wine I gave you too. Don't you?
Looking forward to that.
Last but not least, Madam Secretary, not Secretary, Madam Chairman. I'm going to miss you. You brought along some qualities. You came in here right after I did, and I noticed you thanked people and remembered everybody to thank far better than I did. And I'm going to miss seeing you. You oversaw the transition from the former secretary to Secretary Powell. You did a good job. You stood in front of the Senate Transportation Committee and held him to task. And we got Secretary Powell in here, and you have done an extremely good job, and we're going to miss you very much. Yes, ma'am.
Vice Chairman Metcalf.
Are you going somewhere?
No. I guess just stepping down from the chair, yeah.
Right, we'll miss you as chair.
I'm still here. Y'all can't get rid of me yet.
Oh my gosh, something I didn't know.
No.
Madam Chairwoman, thank you. I will not forget the evening I got a call from Tony Cox, Commissioner of the, I guess Chair at the time maybe, of the commission when I came on, and congratulating me and welcome me to this. And you've continued to be a great resource and leader to me, so I appreciate that. And I stray from the upstate into the Republic of Horry County from time to time, so I will call on you, but thank you very much for what you've done for this state, not just with DOT, but other roles you've had, as you and I talked about this morning. So thank you very much. To Madam Chairwoman, thank you for the last year. That's had a lot of transition, a lot of big things going on, and you have held your own in all those, so it's been a pleasure to be your vice chairman.
Thank you.
And I look forward to continuing to serve with you. To Commissioner Johnson and Commissioner Dukes, congratulations. Definitely look forward to continuing to work with both of y'all in your leadership positions. Good year ahead. Maybe we can cut down on the number of disasters the state has to deal with. I know DOT would greatly appreciate that, but we know y'all are ready to lead as well. So thank you. I wanted to point out that Deputy Secretary Necker was in Greenville not long ago for the dedication of a new maintenance facility, which was long overdue for Greenville Transit Authority. Did a fantastic job representing the agency at that event with city and county leaders. So thank you for doing that. It's really good. And I cannot help but continue to thank the agency and the partners, the contractors that are still out on the highways doing the cleanup. I mean, I don't think any of us really realized. We saw it with our own eyes, but the immensity of this cleanup has just been incredible. And to see what's going on now on the interstates as well, getting that last bit done is kind of a good sight to see that we're coming closer. We're not there, but we're coming closer. So good luck with all that. And Happy New Year. This is the last day you can say Happy New Year, I was told. But look forward to everybody having a great year, and thank you all, and thank you for coming and making public comments today. Appreciate that. And carry on.
Commissioner Dukes.
Yes, again, thank you very much for your service, Madam Chair. Thank you. I've enjoyed working with you and being with you, and look forward to serving, 4 more years with you. Yeah, so thank you. I really want to thank the staff and everyone involved in the I-26 project. I travel that frequently, and it is a pleasure to drive from Chapin into downtown. And I got all the way this morning to actually Pineywood, and before the traffic backed up. But it was a smooth ride, and for all of those that that go west, it's a great experience. So thank you very, very much. I would like to suggest that when we have the groundbreaking or whatever event we have for I-95, that we allow Mr. Fishburne to, maybe get in a backhoe. He deserves a backhoe versus a shovel. So, congratulations, 7 years, and here we go. But thank you very much, Madam Chairperson. Thank you.
Mr. Johnson?
Well, first off, Madam Chair, I'd like to thank you for your service. You've been an extraordinary leader over the last year, and we appreciate that. And then I'd like to thank the commission for the trust that they put in me to offer me the opportunity to serve as the chair for the upcoming year. It's some pretty tough shoes to fill, but I'll do my best to make you guys in the state proud. The staff and the rest of DOT, we've experienced unprecedented disasters in the last couple months. You guys have done a wonderful job, an amazing job in getting out there and getting it all done. Deputy Secretary Perry and Secretary Powell, we acknowledge the sacrifices that you guys made along with the rest of the DOT family, and we just want you to know that it doesn't go unnoticed. Thank you all.
Commissioner Spencer?
Yes, Commissioner Dukes, I too wanted to say how much I-26 is wonderful. I mean, you get on that road and you just cruise through and go to Clemson, it's just great. And I commend everybody involved on making that project come to fruition. And Commissioner Cox, thank you so much for welcoming me to this group. And it's been my honor to serve with you. And wish you well. And we'll keep up with you. And Chair Lady, Ms. Christopher, thank you so much for receiving me and training me, and you've been a great leader, and we wish you the best always. And so thank you, everybody, for making our road system so perfect, so nice. Not perfect, but as good as it can be. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would just like to, oh, yes, sir.
I failed to recognize my good friend, Tony Cox. And I'll just simply say, thank you for the friendship, and thank you for the service. Thank you.
Thank you for saying that. Yeah, absolutely, he's amazing. I would like to thank all of you for putting your faith in me and trust in me. I've enjoyed serving as your chair this year, and it's just an honor for me to do that with such an amazing team. I truly mean it, and I hope y'all know when I say that you guys are like family, and I just so appreciate everything you do. You make us all very proud of everything you do daily, and I know you put your hearts into it because this is your state, and I love that. I also like to thank the governor for putting faith in me and putting me on the SCDOT commission, the Senate Transportation Committee for bringing forward and listening to us, and having my friend sit beside me here, our secretary, and 3rd Congressional District that I represent, and all of my fellow commissioners. Appreciate you all for having faith in me, and really appreciate that. Our lead team, so glad that you guys are doing this, and it's just a wonderful program. I'm very proud of all of you, absolutely. I will also say that, Tony, I am so gonna miss you. You are amazing. And you were the first one who had called me too when I came on. And just been a fine gentleman, and you're one of the first ones I run to when I need advice. And I always get really great sound advice, but I'm not going to cry too much because you and Marilyn better come see Larry and I. We're going to make sure that happens. I appreciate it. If y'all don't realize we become like family up here. We all care so very much about the state. My last thing I have to do today before I adjourn our meeting is, if you will come forward, Mr. Johnson. First of all, this is the thing we do to kid each other each year when we pass it on. But in all seriousness, this is the finest thing that you'll do is serve as chair of SCDOT, because this, I believe, the finest department we have at the state. And we all just have such faith in you. You need to know everybody just speaks so highly of you. and I know you'll do a tremendous job. You don't have huge shoes to fill, but I'm trying to hope that I'm passing to you in a year that you won't have as many things we have with emergencies. But this is something they always do, and say from when we pass it from one chair to the next, here you go, sir. But I know you'll do a fine job, fine job. Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, is that the same sucker I bought?
Yes, sir.
like 5 years ago?
Yeah, don't eat that. It's been going around for, I think, 10 years.
That'll do well with your teeth.
That's right. Upon adjournment of this meeting, the new
getting the
officers will
significance of the
take their
sucker.
positions. And is there a motion to adjourn the commission meeting?
So moved.
Is there a second? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say nay. Hearing no opposition, the meeting of the January 31st, 2025 meeting is adjourned at
10:05.
Yeah, 10 till 10, right? 9?
It'd be a record.
10:05.
Oh, is it 10:05? Sorry, I need better glasses. It is 10:05.
Words.
It was scheduled for March 20th, 2025 in Columbia, and there will not be an audit committee meeting today. The next one will be on March 20th, 2025 in Columbia. Thank you.